I have purposefully stayed quiet on this entire scenario because I wanted to gain a perspective from both sides of the argument. Hello there, welcome to PT Sports. We've got another bit of news to talk about today. This one from the world of football, specifically the Premier League and Liverpool. It's not been an easy time for Liverpool at the moment. Obviously, not a great run of form. Manager Arne Slot is under a lot of pressure. We heard over the last 24 hours that the former co-owner, Tom Hicks, has passed away at the age of 79. But then obviously, following the 3-3 draw with Leeds United, something came out massively from that game in the post-match, and that was from the benched Mohamed Salah. Now, we are going to go through the full thing from the interview. We're going to go through the entire thing and then share overall kind of thoughts on this one. So let's first of all start off with what Mohamed Salah said in the interview, and then we will talk about some of the pundits' reactions to this and share my thoughts on it. So let's start then with the full statement from the interview from Mohamed Salah, the Egyptian attacking winger. Here is what he said. Now I'm sitting on the bench and I don't know why. It seems like the club has thrown me under the bus. That's how I'm feeling. I think it's very clear that someone wants to get me all of the blame, wanted me to get all of the blame. I got a lot of promises in the summer, and so far I am in the bench for 3 games, so I can't say that they keep the promise. I said many times before that I had a good relationship with the manager, and all of a sudden we don't have any relationship. I don't know why, but it seems to me, how I see it, that someone doesn't want me in the club. This club, I will always support it. My kids will always support it. I love the club so much. I will always do. I called my mum yesterday. You guys didn't know if I would start or not, but I knew. Yesterday I said to them, come to the Brighton game, obviously on the 13th of December. That's coming up only in a matter of just under a week. I don't know if I'm going to play or not, but I'm going to enjoy it. In my head, I'm going to enjoy the game because I don't know what is going to happen now. I will be at Anfield to say goodbye to the fans and go to the Africa Cup of Nations. I don't know what is going to happen when I am there. So that was the official thing from Mohamed Salah. Let's just go to a few pundit reactions and former player reactions. First of all, Michael Owen, former Manchester United, former Liverpool player, says, "Oh, Mo Salah" on X. I can imagine how you feel. You've carried this team for a long time and won everything there is to win. But this is a team game and you simply can't publicly say what you said. Now going into the reactions from Chris Sutton. Embarrassing from Mo Salah and disrespectful to his teammates and his manager. Salah is no different from any other player. If a player's form drops as Salah's has, he is the same as anyone else and has to accept being benched. But he thinks he's too good to be benched, sadly. And then finally, some reactions from Match of the Day this past weekend. First of all, Danny Murphy saying everybody would want a legend like Salah to go on good terms with a wonderful send-off. And Dion Dublin saying, as a Liverpool player, it doesn't matter who you are, you've got to earn the right to be in the starting 11. So, some mixed reactions there from the pundits, from ex-players. Obviously, we read out Salah's official interview statement. My reaction to this, in terms of what I think, is simple, really. I feel as if no player is bigger than Liverpool Football Club. No player is bigger than any football club. If you're not on form, there is something in there that you will be benched. And the manager has every right to do that. From what I can't understand is, I mean, first of all, the promise. Let's just focus on the promise first of all. He says there about the promise, and then he's been benched 3 times now, and the promise they can say is not being kept. Is that promise that he will start every single match of the season? Can't confirm that, can't deny that. Is that the promise they're talking about, that he will start every single league game this season? We don't know. I don't know. We don't officially know. The only people that know that are Mohamed Salah, the manager probably, and the hierarchies at Liverpool Football Club. In terms of the rest of the statement from the interview, I mean, people will have seen the clip from the interview and will have seen some kind of press officer with a yellow lanyard, which we believe to be a Liverpool employee or someone of Liverpool press, and his reaction to Mo Salah's comments. Again, it doesn't say to me that Mohamed Salah may stay there beyond the end of this season. From what was, not just from what was said in the interview, and I think from what was going on before that and the kind of rumours and the speculation around contracts, etc. And I think the rumours on Salah's future for quite a while now. Do I think this is Mohamed Salah's last season at Liverpool? Absolutely, I think it could be his last season. I think it could definitely be his last season at Liverpool, especially with what's been going off. However, I think there is a key factor in the future of Mohamed Salah, and that is the future of Arne Slot. Now, obviously, as we spoke about, which led to the Salah interview, or the Salah interview came after the result, it was another case of dropped points in the second half, drawing 3-3 with relegation battlers Leeds United at Ellen Road. Now, was it a great result for Liverpool? Absolutely not. And I think the football told its own story in the second half. I think that Liverpool had some great spells in the first half, but the second half, I thought Leeds United pushed on, and I thought they had the tenacity and the spirit to get a result out of that. And I think when Liverpool were up 3-2, I looked at that going into added time and I thought I could see Leeds getting a result out of that game, because I thought the Liverpool were backing away. I thought Liverpool weren't as on it as I thought they would be. Obviously, straight after the 3-3, there was the Isak header that went, wide of the post. And, that were really it in terms of Liverpool chances after that equaliser from Leeds. So the result of the run of form at the minute for Leeds United, for Liverpool, is nothing great at the minute. I think the run of form is very, very questionable, especially going into the European games coming up as well. I think that Liverpool could be in for a heap of trouble going into Europe. So it should be interesting. But again, I'll go back to that original point. I think that the future of Mohamed Salah could depend on if Arne Slot gets sacked before the end of this season or walks away before the end of the season. And I think there's a lot of pressure on Arne Slot. There's, understandably, in a results-based sport, there is a lot of pressure on the manager, Arne Slot. The run of form to the standards of the league champions isn't acceptable by any standards. I think fans are saying that. Ex-players are saying that. Pundits are starting to say that a lot more as well. Arne Slot is trying to find positives, and I completely respect why he's doing that. If it goes on this much longer, is it going to be acceptable? Is the board going to accept it? Are they going to get rid of Arne Slot before the January window, after the January window? Would it make sense sacking him after January? Would it just make sense keeping him to the end of the season and letting the season play out, and then make your decision at the end whether the finish has been acceptable or not? Because, there is still half the season to go. It can be turned round. We've seen Manchester City under Pep Guardiola turn round poor seasons from the first half of the campaign in terms of league finish. Don't forget the season when they lost to Norwich City and other teams, and they turned it around and they ended up winning the league by that point. So, the 22-23 season, when you look at Arsenal, when they bottled an 8-point lead in the space of a month to Manchester City, and Manchester City found that second gear and they kicked it on, and Arsenal fell away under Mikel Arteta. And, we saw Arsenal lose this weekend against Aston Villa. We see Man City gaining points. We see Liverpool dropping points. Chelsea dropping points 0-0 to Bournemouth. A City clawing it back. Is Villa in the title race now? There's so many questions still yet to be answered, and there's still a lot of the season to go. I think, and this may make me, controversial, if you will, I think they won't get rid of Arne Slot. I think Slot will stay at least until January. Liverpool fans might not want me to say that. You may disagree with that, and you feel free to share your disagreements respectfully in the comments below. Any hate or abusive comments will be deleted. And I'll go on and say that. We need to keep our disagreements respectful, keep it a nice community on PT Sports. But for me, I just think that Arne Slot will stay till January. And I would like him to stay till January, because then at least you've got a window there to say, right, Do we get rid of him, bring in a new manager, and then he's got the January window to start playing with what he wants to do with the squad and try and turn the form around if it's still similar or the same by that point? Or do you go, right, we've turned it around for the last few weeks, we've got Slot still here, we can start to build around it, let's bring in more investment in January, a couple of key players, and if it's still mixed form for the rest of the season and Liverpool finish in the Europa League place or the Europa Conference League place, or even finish out of Europe altogether potentially, we make the change, you know. But we make sure that the couple of key signings, or the 1 or 2 key signings in January, we make sure they're adaptable to other styles of football or other managers' styles, just in case we make the decision after January and after the end of the season that Slot's got to go. So, for me, from my perspective, I would keep Slot till at least January, and I would see where you are. Obviously, the run of form isn't acceptable. Slot knows that. The board will know that. The players certainly will know that. But I would keep Arne Slot till at least January and see where you are. But I think from a Salah perspective, I think this could be Salah's time at Liverpool done. I don't see any way back for Salah after this, no matter who's in the right, who's in the wrong. In terms of who I think's in the right, I think Salah, the whole thing was in the heat of the moment. I think Salah launched a lot of his frustration in that interview. And I think there must be frustration. Because if you're one of the club's best players and you're on the bench 3 games in a row, it can't feel good. I don't think he's let it out in the right way, though. I think that it was a push. For me, personally, I feel like it was a push to say, start me, or I'm going to go at the end of the season, or I'm going to go even in January when I'm back from AFCON. So, for me, it's one of them. It's one of them where I think both sides can be right, but both sides can be wrong. I think Salah was very frustrated. I think he launched that in the way that maybe he shouldn't have done. But at the same time, is this him pushing to leave Liverpool? Is this a move to try and lead Liverpool in January or at the end of the season with a proper send-off? And I do feel at times that Salah is a very disrespected player at Liverpool. I think he's been very disrespected in the past couple of years. But I don't think he's let his frustrations out in the right way. But this is the thing about human nature. When you are frustrated, sometimes you can let them out in the worst possible way. And that may not be the best way, but when you're that frustrated about something and when you're that frustrated over what's happening, not just with your own performances and where you are in the squad, but with the team as well, and where the team is currently in the table, I think that your frustrations can just be let out, and it doesn't matter whether it's right or whether it's wrong. But maybe Salah will look back on this moment and think, I should have let my frustration out in a different way. Or he might say the opposite. He may think he's fully justified in the way he's reacted and the way he's let out that frustration, if it is indeed a frustration interview where everything's kind of boiled to the surface and he's let it out this way. What do you all think? Let me know in the comments down below. Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Share your opinions respectfully. Again, abusive comments will be deleted. Anything respectful in terms of disagreements, agreements, share it in the comments down below, and stay tuned for more content here on PT Sport.